Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 2. So Module 2 is the end of the narrative essay. You will be just doing, you'll be taking the brainstorm and outline that you did in the previous module, and you will be writing out a draft. So you're going to start with a rough draft, you'll do some self-editing, then a final draft, and then some post-writing. So every essay will be going through this same process. The emphasis in this class is on the process and not necessarily the final product. So the main thing to remember is that you need to follow the steps in order. Otherwise you won't be doing it correctly. You won't be getting out of the assignments what you need to be. So as you can see, this module is, we've got 3 assignments that you're going to be doing, and so the first step is to actually get a good draft of your narrative essay written. So I've got the narrative essay assignment in here again just as a reminder of what you want to be working on. You're picking an event, something that happened to you, something that was significant, that sticks out to you, preferably occurring within a day or less. So you have something to focus on. What is that climactic moment? So you did that as part of your outline. So the first step is kind of go back and look. I try to give feedback within the first few days of the module ending on things like outlines and brainstorms and stuff. So, but if you want feedback right away, or if you have some kind of time constraint, you can always send me an email if you really want to know, does this work? So then the next thing you're going to do is write out a rough draft. So I've given you kind of a guide for how to write out a rough draft. I always recommend for the first draft, just sitting down and trying to get as much of your thoughts down on paper as possible. So similar to a free write, but perhaps a little bit more structured as far as like making sure you get the introduction, the body paragraphs, the conclusion. And then if you have to, or if you have trouble focusing, I recommend either setting yourself like a 1-hour timer or like 15 to 20 minutes and then taking a break in between. Just to sit down and write kind of depends on your schedule. You might schedule, multiple 15-minute writing sessions depending on, how much work you have to do in other classes or what kind of job you have. So just keep in mind that you want to be really focusing on just getting the draft done. The main thing here is to leave the squiggles, okay? So I want to see your authentic writing. For those of you who are perfectionists, this is going to be difficult, but the main thing to remember is that the purpose of this assignment is to improve your writing. If you're going in and changing things before I have a chance to see what it looked like to begin with, then we're not going to be seeing your process that you went through in order to make corrections and updates and things like that. So your essay, you may be one of those people who, a lot about grammar, and so your essay is going to be fairly well written the first time that you go through it, but there does need to be places where you can improve, and so don't go back through this one. Okay, I want it to be like the first draft. These are all of your ideas. Try to go in chronological order as much as possible. The main thing to remember is that this one is not graded on grammar. Okay, the only thing I look at is, did you get all of the story written? And if so, you're going to get all your points for it. So I'm not going to judge you based on whether or not you've done any proofreading, because the point is to not do any proofreading. And obviously the main issue here, and the main reason I'm emphasizing it, is because of the terribly inappropriate use of AI that's just wiping out all of our online classes. And so in order to really get something out of this class, you need to be really aware of where you are, where your strengths are as a writer and where your weaknesses are. And so you can't do that if you're letting Grammarly change all your sentences, or you're changing all of those errors as you go. So leave them in there. The next thing you're going to do, so you got your draft, this is a really rough copy, you got it all done, you've submitted it. Now you're going to go in here, you see the submission details, so you click on that, and then you're going to go to view feedback. This is, by the way, the little flag that turned in tells you, this is, I've turned the same document in multiple times, so I plagiarized myself. So view feedback is where you're going to go, and then you're going to expand it. Now you can see your essay. This is where you go to see my feedback. you're also going to leave some self-editing feedback. So when you notice, so you're going to read through and you're going to see your errors. And so now you're going to start to recognize, where you can add stuff. So there may not be, anything that's like a specific grammar problem, but things like, what kind of wording, can you improve the wording? Can you add stuff, that kind of thing. So you're leaving yourself all kinds of feedback. So I like this little tool right here that leaves a bubble comment because then it leaves your name right next to it, and so that way I can see what you're doing. Some students like to use the highlighter as well, especially since you can change the color. So you can have certain colors mean, this is a good sentence, this is a bad sentence, something like that. You'll be doing the same thing with your peer essays. So this is just getting practice doing that. You can do a strike through if you want to. The one thing that the text is the only thing that if you add text, it doesn't leave your name. So it can be hard to tell who is, obviously you're the one leaving your own comments, but it can be kind of hard to read that. So I recommend using these bubbles here, but you can do strike through. You can also draw on it. It's got a drawing tool if you want to, circle something. That's kind of fun. So you're going to do that, at least like 8 or so comments on your own and writing. So you're going to go through your essay, do the self-editing. This is the same draft that I will be looking at. So once I go through your rough draft, then you'll have comments from yourself and from me. And then that way you are prepared to turn it into a final draft. Since we are in a condensed semester, ideally you would be doing these in 2 different modules, but instead you're going to have to go through that and in order to get to the final draft. So the challenge is going to be if you need feedback from me right away, you're going to have to send me an email. If you're waiting until the last minute, there's a chance I'm not going to give you any feedback on your self-edited draft, and all of your revisions are going to have to be your own, just because my weekends tend to be really busy. So just keep that in mind. Give yourself enough time to do that, and then go through the process of completing the final draft. So the final draft is a thoroughly updated, revised version, and this is where you can, if you want to run it through a grammar program to help you out, I recommend not. You can use Grammarly for stuff like comma errors. Don't change all of your sentences for what it suggests, because it will often reword your sentences so that it sounds more professional or whatever, but it sounds more robotic if you do that. So you want your own voice to be in your own essay, so just keep that in mind. And then you can look through the rubric. All of the grading rubrics for essays will have an AI level. If your language does not sound like a person, you are going to score down at the AI level, and that is just how I deal with AI in my classroom. If you have questions about it, you can always send me an email. The last step is to do some post writing, which is reflecting on what you've written. I do leave this assignment open a little bit longer so you can see when you go into this, the due date and then available until. So all of the other assignments are available until the Monday after. This one's available until like the Wednesday after. So that way, if you're all down to the last minute submitting things, then you still have some time to reflect. So you can there's 3 options. You can do an audio reflection where you record yourself or record some audio of yourself talking. So it could be either a video or audio. You can do a Zoom conference with me if you want to set up one. A little harder over the summer because I have kind of a weird schedule and my kids are home all day. But we can definitely see if we can find a time to meet. And then the other option is to do just a paragraph and just go over, what worked well, what didn't work, what are you going to do next, differently next time, and that kind of thing. So that is module 2. It's a lot of writing in this module, so make sure you do get started early. And there is also information if you want to use the online writing lab, you can. It's over here under this BrainFuse online tutoring button, and there's a link, or there's a page here that tells you how to do it. So if you want to, that's fine. Since we're not doing a peer edit, you are doing a self edit, you'll get comments from me as well. But if you want someone kind of outside of that, then you're more than welcome to use that. So if you have questions, send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.